I recently got a request to go over some of my favorite coffee table books, so that is what we're going to do today. Okay, first we're going to start with The Shabby Chic Home by Rachel Ashwell. I thrifted this book at a local thrift shop, and when I picked it up, I didn't realize that she was the founder or the person who coined the term shabby chic, and she runs Shabby Chic Home. So that was kind of fun to learn through reading this book. And I did read through this whole book. Some of the coffee table books that I have, I just look at, but I read through this whole book and it was a really good read. It talked about how she implemented the shabby chic vibe through her home when she was redoing it, and she talked about parts of the house that she left original and parts that she kind of redid. So that was fun to learn about. And also just how she implements shabby chic into her lifestyle in general. And yeah, it's a really good book, a good read, beautiful to look at all the imagery and illustrations. So I do recommend picking up this book if this is your vibe. It is a good one. Next, we'll go into Pacific Natural at Home by Kane. I used to really identify with this style of interior design, but then I realized it really depends on the design and the style of the house and the rooms. A lot of interior design does, but there is a big difference between interior design and interior decorating. And I think speaking for myself, because I rent, I can't really control the design of the house or rooms, but I can control the decor. And I think more minimalistic design that Kane is known for really depends on the design of the room and the home. So I kind of stopped leaning into this style and I started leaning more into like country cottage, coastal cottage, French design and style and decorating. And then that's when I found a style that really worked for me, because it's really hard for renters to kind of identify with a more minimalistic style of decor unless your apartment or home happens to lean into this kind of style. I do think there are elements of this style that I still take into consideration and implement when I can, but it's more so as inspiration as a whole rather than taking direct ideas from it. It is just beautiful to look at though, so I do go back to it and I do keep it on my coffee table because I do think it is a really pretty book. Clearly, I've had it for a long time. You can see it's scuffed up, but I love it. Had to wait for a plane to pass before I went into the next one. So this is the next book. I got this one at Home Goods, and I was initially drawn to it because this front image is really beautiful, and also I love that it's fabric. So I do keep this one on my coffee table as well because I think it's really pretty. I do think the shot they used on the cover is maybe one of my favorite shots out of this whole book, but it is really pretty and really fun to look at. I think it's a great decor inspo book, but it's also just fun to look at and see all these different homes and gardens and take bits and pieces of inspiration from it, not really like copying anything. I kind of think that's how I feel about all my coffee table books. Like I don't see a room and go like, oh, I'm gonna do that exactly in my space. I'll see a room and think like, oh, this style of chair could look really nice, or like, oh, I love the color of these trees, this like light green. I wonder if I could find a bush like that. I'm more so like pick pieces or vibe of the whole thing in general. Like there's no way I can put a pool in my little patio, But I could look at this and say, okay, there's so much whimsy going on here. Like, I love the whimsy of these flowers with the stillness of this pool and the wide open sky and these simple chairs. How could I implement this vibe into my own home? So I love looking at coffee tables and thinking in that way rather than, oh, that house, I'll never have it. Oh my God. Like, think about what you can take from these beautiful inspirational books instead of like, oh, I'll never have that. That's something that I do see a lot on the internet of people leaning into like, if only, I'll never have that kind of thinking. I really try to stay away from that type of thinking, and I really try to lean into like, this is so beautiful. What can I take from inspiration from this, and how can I implement it? How can I implement it into what I do have? Anyway, that's my little tangent for the day. Moving on to Salvage Style. I love this outdoor book because it doesn't matter if you have a small patio, a big garden, you can take ideas from this book no matter what size outdoor space you have, even if it's just right outside your front door. There is something in here for everybody. It just gives you ideas of how to use existing things in a new way. So maybe it's an old metal pot that's rusting. It shows you how to turn it into a new planter. Or maybe you have a bunch of old wood hanging around. It shows you how to build shelves or, something to line your garden with. And it's really fun and inspiring to look through. And maybe you look through it and maybe you don't do this exact project, but you look at it and you're like, wait, I have an idea for a different thing similar to that. And it's just inspiring you to use what you have in a new way, even if it's not exactly following the projects that they have lined up in the book. So I think it's a really fun one and another inspiring one. This one was a gift from my friend, and I have loved it and gone back to it time and time again. As you can see, there's spills and stains and everything on it, but that kind of goes with the theme of Wabi Sabi. This one is really fun because it's a mix of travel and home and recipes and just different lifestyle around the world and how it's reflected with your home and eating, and the imagery is beautiful, stories are beautiful, and it's just a really beautiful book to look at. So I recommend it as a gift or as a gift to yourself, but it's a fun book. Okay, the next book I'm gonna go into is Garden Stone. This one is not as practical for everybody. It's not even practical for me. I picked it up because I was gonna maybe help my dad with his backyard, and we were talking about maybe using stones in it. And then I was at the thrift store and I saw this book and it was like $1, so I picked it up because I thought it could be inspiring for our backyard project. But even though I don't have a huge yard, and even though I rent, so I can't really like build this in my backyard, I do think it's still inspiring to look at for my yard now. Just in general, just like, again, wow, this is a beautiful vibe. How can I implement this feeling into my home now? Like, in that mode of thinking. And also just fun to look at and dream about and just get inspired by. So again, another thrift. It was maybe not the most practical guide to look at, but a really fun one and inspiring one and pretty. This one is super fun, and I do think everybody who's into this style could learn something from it, I guess. Not learn something, but get inspired by it. I thrifted this one, and I think it's so fun. It kind of goes through teaching you or showing you examples of how you could bring the vibe of your patio space or the outdoors inside. So I think it's fun, especially if you don't have an outdoor space. It kind of shows you how you could bring one into your house. So if you live in an apartment and it doesn't have a patio or a porch or anything, this could be a fun book to kind of give you ideas of how you could bring outdoors inside. And even if you do have an outdoor space, it could be fun to look through and just think of things in new ways. Like maybe it's using patio chairs as dining chairs instead of patio chairs, or using a watering can in a new way, or just like what plants could survive inside. And it's just fun and pretty to look at. So I recommend this book as well. It is a fun one. This is one of my favorites. I got this one at Home Goods, and if you love cottage style homes, this is maybe my top recommendation because it is just so cute. And whether you want to decorate your place in this way or you just want to get lost in the imagery, I think it's a really fun one to look at and to get inspiration from, or just to kind of dream into these little worlds, these homes that they share. I think it's just so cute. Like, look at that kitchen. Oh my God, with that door and that view. I think it's just so cute and cozy and pretty. That's this one. I love this one. And the last one we'll look at today, Quiet Living. This one I've actually never read. I just like looking at the imagery. Hold on, it's a really heavy book, so I'm gonna try to prop it up here. They have a bunch of different styles of interiors and exteriors and gardens. Like, this is not necessarily my style, but it's still really fun to look at and appreciate. Like, I love this. That's beautiful. This feels a little dark to me, but it's still really fun to look at and just get inspiration from, or just appreciate and just see all these cool different homes. Like, I would never want that in my house, but I think it's fun to look at. And that is just so cute. So like a lot of different styles of interiors and exteriors and great imagery and just really fun to look through. So I recommend this one if you want a mix of interiors and exteriors in the countryside. That is it today, my friends. I hope this was inspiring for you to keep an eye out at thrift stores and Home Goods and your local independent bookstores for some fun coffee table books. And I will try to link as many of these as possible in my Shop My, which I will put in the description. Okay, that's it. Happy reading and see you next time.